Hey guys, welcome back to my channel today. Sorry for not uploading over the past week or two. Just been some difficulties with my old phone not uploading the files, as my last video was over 5 minutes. I don't know if it was due to the length of the video or if YouTube was just having a problem at the time with uploading through phones. But enough about that. Today is just going to be about me talking about why I chose football over the likes of rugby, as some people have always asked me this. And so this is my story. So when I was about 6-7 years old, I was playing football as a young player. And obviously those young age groups where there was like 5-6 of you on the field at the time. And it was just more for me to get the feel of things, as it wasn't really physical, and like most kids play football before rugby. And then when I got to the age of 9, I knew that I wanted to play rugby, as that's what most kids did back then. So I played rugby for 3.5 years, where I made town and country reps for my first 2 in Ashburton. Then when I moved to, after my 3rd season, I moved to Christchurch, and because I moved to Christchurch for 6 months and then Timaru for the first 6 months, I didn't play that year. But then my first year of high school ended up being my last year of rugby, where I played for Pariora Harlequins. And I was going to play rugby the following year, but this is the main reason. Well, there was many factors as to why I left rugby. One of the reasons was I was too old to play 13s, despite being 13 at the start of the year. And in rugby, it's based off your birthday at the start of the calendar year, and I had not turned 14 until the 5th of March. And then as for the under 16s, I was too young. Well, not too young, but they thought I just wasn't strong enough, which goes to show a bit of discrimination there, because I was a big, tall boy, and I was starting to bulk up a bit, and I took trainings with the under 16s, and I took some hard hits over that time. So, but at the same time, I'd already signed up to play football. But at the time, football was going to be the backup option, because I knew about the difficulties surrounding my my rugby. So after that happened, I sort of turned ahead, and I didn't hate rugby, but I just felt left out. So I turned to football, and that first year I ended up scoring 11 goals in 14 games, and I had probably my most happiest season of a game of sport, despite my last year of rugby. I scored 12 tries in about 18, 19, 20 games. But with football, I just felt like I belonged. Like the team helped me improve, because when I first came, I didn't really have a clue of how to play football or what position to play. But in the first game, they put me in striker, and as a new person would, my first goal in the first game was a toe poke, and the game ended up as a 1-1 draw. And then towards the end of that season, I ended up switching around, playing mainly as striker, whether it was a lone striker or the left side of the front two. But at times I was playing on the left wing, and I started to develop my game, as I didn't have the technical skills in football due to missing the years 9 to 13. And it showed at times, because I was relying on my pace, my strength, my height, and my ability to make those runs, as I had the awareness due to my rugby days and all the strength and all that, but like the technical skills, as like my passes would go all over the place, my touches weren't the greatest, my control wasn't the greatest, and I was always, whenever I made a pass, I was always passing backwards. I never passed side to side or forward, partly due to the fact that I was playing as a striker most of the time. And even then, like most of the time, I would be having balls thrown over the top of me, so I would struggle to control them. So I was mainly a target man, but then my second season came, and this was when I started to turn against rugby. Like, people that have known me since about 2014 onwards probably know me as someone that absolutely hates rugby, and partly that is true, but at the same time I've sort of grown back into it, because I did grow up with idolising Richie McCaw and Dan Carter as my sporting heroes. But the reason I started to hate it was a year after my first football season, after I left rugby, and it sort of sunk in more about the reason why I left rugby. And then I started to love football more, and the reason why I joined football was not because it was the only sport left for me, but to be honest, I had a passion for football, as football's always in my team's blood. So with that, I grew up with my uncles and my aunties and my mum and my opa all playing football, as my opa is obviously from the Netherlands. So that sort of made me grow to become a better footballer, and in my second season, which ended up being my last for Mountain View because I ended up moving to Christchurch the next year, I ended up playing under 16, so I not only went up a grade, but it was a lot tougher as well because people knew my strengths. But I still played really well, and towards the end of that season, despite only scoring 5 goals, my last game of the season ended up being a call-up to the under-18s. So I ended my time at Mountain View on a high, and I was unfortunate not to get a first-team call-up, because I did know that, and the team did talk to me that if I had stayed longer, that I was beckoning with a first-team appearance. But then I moved to Christchurch, and for the first year, I didn't know about the football system up here in Christchurch, so I just ended up playing schools football on Wednesdays. And then that's where my game changed a lot, as I went from being a striker or a winger to playing goalkeeper for school, and even at times at centre-back. And then that just helped me work on my defensive game, as now I have turned into although I am still a left winger, I've converted to more of a fullback / centre-back. And then at the end of the year, I ended up going for a CFC and doing a goalkeeper course, because I thought I was going to end up becoming a full-blown goalkeeper. But then my next season, which was my last at high school, was my first in mainland football, and I played basically every game, every minute of schools football, mainly in goal. But then when it came to playing for mainland football, this was a horrible season for me, and I almost considered leaving football, just like the same way as rugby, was because the coach of the team was unfairly leaving me out of the team, considering this was a Div 7 side and I only wanted to play under 19s. The coach underpicked me, wouldn't let me play even though I was versatile. Most times I'd only get 10, 15 minutes or even only 5. At 2 occasions I didn't even play despite showing up. And yeah, I'd show up to most of the trainings, and back in that grade especially, it's usually if you show up to trainings you get first dibs on playing in the Saturday team. But then one of the guys from the team who I ended up going to course with as this is my second year at the Institute of Sport, he ended up asking me if I wanted to play last year for them, and I said I would, because I loved football and I was going to give it a second chance. So with that, I played, and I was playing the first half of the season as a goalkeeper, and then I started to not like it. So then the second half of the season, I ended up playing mainly as a right back or centre back, in which I improved my game so much that I was mostly consistent on a regular basis, where I would be a brick in defence where they wouldn't be able to get past me, and I was always tracking back well and also supporting an attack. But then I ended up leaving Western at the end of the year because I thought I wanted to challenge myself more by going up a higher grade. But then this year came around and I ended up joining Sunday League, which for me, the main reason I did it was not only because the cost was cheaper, but I got to play with a lot more people from course, and with the prospect of the New Zealand Institute of Sports Exchange coming up, it would be a good way to get the chemistry going, as well as the fact that it would be more of a challenge to me, because we're also playing in a cup competition, not only a league. And so I chose that, and so far I have been playing. I've played 2 pre-season games, full 90s, and I've so far done well, but then the season's yet to start. So when that does start, I will keep you updated on future football videos, and I will let you know how my progress for the season goes if you want. But as that is, thanks for watching, and hope to see you soon. Bye.